Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another UNC Hoops Talk podcast. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt, coming back at you after three more games since our last podcast. The Heels are 4-0, but it's not been without questions, as we kind of addressed in the last podcast. We've had our moments, coming off a good win against James Madison where we looked better. Everybody thinks the competition was a little bit better and we looked better as a team, so a little more cohesive, and we'll get into all that. But yeah, three more games to talk about this week, and it's possible Gil and or Blake may pop in here. Hopefully, we can get one of them too, but no promises there. I've tried to schedule with them, and it's just been crazy. Either my schedule, they both said they were ready when I was out of town, and I couldn't do it, so yeah, it's been crazy, but I'm glad you're here listening, watching, however you're taking in the podcast. And I hope that you will make sure that you are subscribed and just ready to take in the podcast whenever we get one out or whenever I get one out, and just continue to unite Tar Heel Nation through this, I guess, Jordan brand or Jordan year, as we end in 23. So Garrett is here. Says we looked great yesterday. Awesome to see it. God, was that only yesterday? What day is today? It's Monday today. We didn't play. We played on Saturday, right? No, it was yesterday. We looked like number one yesterday. Sorry, the sicknesses have hit our house. I got a couple of kids sick. Didn't get enough work done today. I'm just all over. Um, but like I said, I'm glad you're here. Garrett says I'm finally able to be here live. Glad to have you, Garrett. And we're going to jump in here. So, like I said, we got three games to kind of talk about. We're not going to get too in depth in any one game because we've looked different game to game, and that's going to change here, obviously, as we get into the PK Invitational, Phil Knight Invitational. We'll talk about that here as well, and so the caliber of teams that we see or are going to see is going to go up as well. So. Um, Last podcast we talked about the opening win. Again, I don't even remember who it was here. Let me look real quick. It was UNCW. We ended up winning by 13. Didn't look spectacular. Then we had College of Charleston. So we thought the competition was a little bit better, and we actually beat them 102-86. So a little bit bigger of a margin there, but and we got biscuits out of it, but still didn't look like ourselves. I'm trying to remember if it was that one or the Gardner Webb. I think that one, the first half, did not look good, and we came out really strong in the second one. Yeah, Baycott led us 28 points. Was a couple of rebounds shy of his double double there. Leaky Black was perfect in that game, 6 for 6, 2 for 2 from three, 15 points there. Caleb Love as well, 25 points, 6 assists to one turnover. And again, there was moments that, well, I should say the second half we looked better, but we were pretty darn sluggish in the first half. And then we followed that up with Gardner Webb, which we thought, not as good opponent. We really better blow them out. And not that it was ever in question. I don't think anybody ever questioned like, oh man, we're going to lose this game or anything like that. But we only won 72-66. Obviously, a lot closer than what we thought. And again, there was moments there we'd go on a run and really look good. And then obviously there was lethargic and not so good moments as well, led by Caleb Love in that game, 20 points. RJ Davis actually led us in rebounds, had a double-double, 14 points, 10 rebounds. Armando missed to the double-double in this game by one rebound. He had 10 points, 9 rebounds. This is a game where Pete Nance semi went off. I guess he went off. He carried us for sure in the first half, but had some foul trouble. I think they said only took like 2 shots in the second half. Had 16 points in the first half. Ended up with only 18, but shot 3 for 5 from 3-point line. And that first half, Pete Nance there looked kind of like the Pete Nance that we want and hope that we're going to get on a more consistent basis. But yeah, like I said, we still didn't put together that 40 minutes, and not that we did against James Madison. There was its moments there too, but overall, and we came out from the beginning. I think that was the difference in James Madison as well, as we came out strong right away. And leading up to it, there was a bunch of talk of they're blowing everybody out by 30 and 40. They're putting up 100 and some points every game. They got this potent offense, and do they have a chance to beat the Heels? And Armando even talked about it post game that they had kind of heard some of that talk, and so they were ready from the get go, and they kind of jumped on them. And again, never really in question. Some moments where I think we kind of got lazy, lethargic, whatever it is. Like, hey, we got this game in hand, and it was still a little bit closer than maybe it should have been. But led in points by R.J. Davis, 21 points, 5 assists to 2 turnovers, 2 for 7 from three. But really, Armando kind of led us, 19 points, 23 rebounds, career high rebound, which is kind of crazy to me. I didn't know that 23 was going to be enough for him. And maybe the biggest stat is he was 9 for 12 from the free throw line. Obviously, to get there 12 times and knock down 9 of them for Armando is awesome to see. Um, 11 points for Pete Nance, 9 for Caleb Love on 3 for 11 shooting overall, 1 for 6 from 3-point line. And then Leaky Black, um, just 5 points, but 12 rebounds again. I think that was his career high as well. And then Puff Johnson's first appearance, 6 points, knocked down a three, some rebound. Actually, no rebounds there. But some hustle plays. Seth Tremble continues to make strides. He got 12 minutes, scored 5 points, got a rebound, got a turnover, a steal. You can kind of see his growth there. DeMarco Dunn knocked down a three, knocked down a free throw, was aggressive. Tyler Nickel only played a couple of minutes, got off an open three, and hopefully he keeps his confidence up to where he keeps not, or at least shooting those, making people at least think that he's a threat there. And kind of the person missing in this game, I didn't really check the last two, but Styles, no point or no minutes, I should say, against James Madison. He had 5 against Gardner Webb, um, and he had 4.5 against who is this? College of Charleston. So he had been getting 3 to 5, 3 to 6 minutes every game, and then James Madison, he gets no points. So I don't know exactly how we read into that, but it is what it is. And that's where we stand with the Tar Heels right now. So, like I said, looked better against James Madison. So, which one is the outlier? Is it we're finding our stride? Are we finding our groove? Or is the James Madison outlier? And we still got work to do. We still got some chemistry issues. Whatever it may be. So Garrett Clemens says, I think we found something yesterday. James Madison was averaging 105. And they were, it looked like, again, from what I only watched when they played us. I didn't, go look back at any uh, highlights of theirs or anything like that. But they jacked a lot of threes. So if they were hitting those, obviously it would have been a closer game for us as well. Um, but I'm still not convinced that this is kind of the level of competition that we want to compare ourselves with. If we were number one, it's not like, oh, James Madison came in, we handled them, we're good. We still got some work to do. So stay vigilant. People still doubting us, and I don't know if it's doubting, but again, they're kind of waiting for us to see, are we gonna get to the level that we were at the end of last season, and that's where we need to get if we want to do this year what we want to do. So Garrett says College of Charleston beat Virginia Tech yesterday. So yeah, I kind of saw them as, out of these 4 games, that would be the best competition. And not that we played poorly against them, we just had a bad first half, really bad first half. I think we were losing at halftime, but they turned it on. And I mean, obviously, that's the key. Last year we flipped some kind of switch at the end of the season and really got going. Can they do that? And can we leave that switch on as opposed to just waiting? And I think that's part of the problem for this team is, after the highs of the end of last year, beating Duke at home, beating Duke in the Final Four, then the national championship game, these games, I mean, it's hard to get up for James Madison, for Gardner Webb, for all this, but it's kind of what you need to do is you need to turn that switch on and leave it on all season long, or at least for most of it. And we're going to find that out soon here as we get into, like I said, the level of competition going up, and even the Phil Knight Invitational going to Indiana. We got plenty of big games coming up. We're going to find out a lot really soon. Stay vigilant, says James Madison, College of Charleston, both decent wins. We got to do good in the Phil Knight. Garrett says Baycott looked good yesterday. Definitely looked much better, much I don't know, more comfortable, more aggressive. Whatever it was, he did look a lot better. Um, so the Nintendo nerd, says while the game is not perfect, shows the team is improving and they have a drive and hunger to win. You love to see that, and yeah, I agree. Um, So we got a couple people here from the Lockdown Tar Heels podcast. Looks like all right. Sorry, I'm just getting lost in you guys' comments here as we're going. It's hard to obviously live podcast and keep your comments going, and you guys are killing it there. Caleb Love has to be more consistent. RJ Davis is our best player right now. Um, Caleb's been doing good other than his threes. I think that's the biggest thing too is if we can, get Puff going here, knocking down a couple threes. If we can get Tyler to knock down a three a game, um, and Pete, I think that first half again, the first half against Gardner Webb that Pete had opens up more for Baycott, and you see that in the James Madison game. So yeah, Nintendo Nerd says love to see Puff back. Fills a hole. I think so too, but I mean, I still want to see DeMarco style or Dontra style. Sorry, I mean, I want to see DeMarco done more too. Again, these are the games where we can do it, and we haven't been blowing people out to where we can see some of those other guys. But give Styles some minutes here and see what he can do. And but again, I'm not at practice every day, so um, yeah. So stay vigilant. Says that if we can knock down the outside shot more consistently, we'll be a number one team. He says the Field of 68 channel doubting us and says we haven't been tested. I mean, we haven't been tested. I agree with that, but I'm not trying to defend the Field of 68 because I do. I listen to it, and yeah, I'm with you on some of the stuff that those guys say. So we won't get into that right now. Um, Stay vigilant says they say we're one because last season right now, and again, that's true. We have not been tested, and we haven't really beaten anybody. I mean, you look at who Michigan State has played, who Gonzaga has played, even Kentucky. They got two losses, but the games they've played in so far, people are out there getting tested. But again, ours are coming here. Um, so Garrett says James Madison is better than College Charleston as they're projected to win their conference. I have no idea. You're very. I'll take your word for it. So JB2 says 10 days from now we'll know a lot more about this team. I hope we show out at the PK85. I do too. Again, that's where the competition is going to go up, and yeah, we'll definitely find out a lot in the next, you know, whatever. I mean, through this weekend by Sunday, whatever is that. I mean, that's not 10 days away. It's I guess about 6 days away. Um, JB2 says the offense will come around. If we continue to play solid defense, it'll be a hard team to beat. And that is the difference between this year and last year, I think. If you remember the beginning of last year when we played College of Charleston at their place, I mean, they just were driving by us at will, and everybody was the beginning of last year. Um, and yeah, we just weren't playing defense. We weren't stopping anybody, and we weren't really scoring much either, and that was the problem, or at least efficiently. Um, and yeah, we're not scoring as efficiently this year as we did at the end of last year. But I agree, our defense, and I think a lot of that difference is Pete Nance over Brady Manick. Seth Tremble, I think he brings that intensity and that rubs off on Caleb and RJ, um, and obviously we got Leaky Black still there. Nintendo Nerdhead says, "Hope Coach Davis gets the confidence to give his bench more minutes. The starters are still playing 30 plus minutes." I agree, and I said this kind of preseason. This is we're talking about how deep we are, but are we really deep? Um, we're not deep unless you play that depth and let them play. And Coach Davis still hasn't. Again, we're what I'd say 7 deep right now. Maybe you can say 7.5 with DeMarco and Tyler being that half. But really, he trusts the five starters. Obviously, Puff Johnson. I was even a little surprised Puff in his first game back, kind of getting the minutes. I mean, he's thrown right back in. Again, I'm not at practice, but Coach Davis always says, you earn your opportunities in practice, and then you earn more opportunities by taking advantage of those. But I don't know how much Puff had been practicing. and he gets thrown right back in there. And again, I don't know what practice looks like, but to get DeMarco a few more minutes, to get Dontrez a few more minutes, but again, I'm not going to question Coach Davis too much because obviously he knows what he's doing. It worked last year, but I agree on the depth whole thing. We went through that last year as well, so we should handle Portland if we show up. I don't know if you're talking about the town or the whole tournament in Portland, or obviously we play Portland the first game, and I hope we handle Portland because we should. And I'm planning my Friday around it because I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the Portland game live anyway. I'll record it and watch it, uh, but it's right at noon for me on Thanksgiving. But then we win. We play later the game Friday, late in the day Friday. So I'm banking on that one. So yeah, our defense looks better. Stay vigilant says I love Trimble's play right now as well. Our defense has definitely been an upside. Um, yeah, so let's do jump ahead here to what's coming up. That's kind of what's been going on here. But so we have Portland on Thanksgiving Day. It's a 1 Eastern tip out in Portland. So that is noon for me. That is an ESPN game. If you've had trouble kind of finding, it's been a lot of streaming and ACC network so far. So we're out on ESPN now on Thanksgiving Day. Probably fighting a little bit of football there, but if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming you'll be tuned into the basketball game. And should we handle Portland? I was just looking at the schedule or the brackets for this. We win Thursday against Portland. We play at 5:30 Eastern on Friday. Sorry, did I say Thursday or say Friday for the first game? We win on Thursday. We play at 5:30 Eastern on Friday. If we ended up losing, it would be a 3 Eastern tip. And it says ESPN or ESPNU. So I'm assuming again we win, we're on the ESPN. We lose, we're on ESPNU. So we should again beat Portland. Um, but obviously, yeah, hopefully the guys are fired up and ready to go. And so we beat Portland. We play the winner of Iowa State Villanova. I don't know much about Iowa State. I've not seen how they've been doing this year. Um, second year coach who turned it around quickly last year. But again, I don't know anything about their team. Villanova, new coach as well, but uh, two starters out right now for them. They struggled. They barely beat Delaware. They did lose a game. I don't remember who it was, but they have struggled. Again, how that compares to Iowa State, I'm not sure. Uh, Obviously, two teams. Again, we can beat anybody. We're number one. No, I don't have to say that, but two teams that we should again we show up and play our game. Should win there, and then in the championship game. Well, it doesn't give times for us yet, but it is on Sunday, so we get Saturday off. Sunday, probably later. I think the championship. So if we were to win that second game against Iowa State or Villanova, I think if I remember right, was a 10:30 Eastern tip, and I'm assuming that'd still be on ESPN. If we lose, I think it was like a 2:30, 3:30, somewhere in there, Eastern tip. And I don't know what channel, if it said what channel it would be on. So that's what we got coming up this week. We have for sure 3 games out there. Um, and then we turn around really quickly and we go to Bloomington, Indiana for our ACC Big Ten Challenge game with Indiana on November 30th, Wednesday. It's a late tip, 9:15. It doesn't say Eastern here, but I'm assuming it's 9:15 Eastern tip on ESPN as well. So we should have the next 4 games on ESPN. So good exposure, like we said, giving us those chances to take down teams and to get the big wins that we want, and to prove these guys wrong. And again, keep gelling together as a team. That's probably the most important thing. Is obviously we want to keep winning, but probably the biggest thing is that we keep getting better and keep getting used to playing each other. I think that was huge last year. Is we got on Hubert Davison about not playing the bench, but the starters were playing so much together. They finally just gelled and got it going. So um, Stay Vigilant says Puff comes in, gives a spark, does a bit of everything. Says he was talking about Portland, the team. So yeah, we should handle them. And Garrett says I should be able to watch all 3 of them, thankfully. So yeah, the one that I may miss, and hopefully it doesn't jinx it or anything, is that Portland game. But hopefully some good games. I'm ready to kind of see us against a Villanova, a name brand team, or Iowa State, maybe a team that plays a little bit more aggressive defensively. And then that championship game, it's I don't know if I can remember all the teams, but UConn is down there, Alabama's down there, Michigan State is down there. I don't remember who UConn plays, but obviously Michigan State has been tested. They what lost on the aircraft carrier barely to Gonzaga, who got blown out by at Texas, but then they came back and beat Kentucky, and Michigan State came back and beat Kentucky in double overtime as well. So a tough team, well coached team, obviously, and they don't really have the stars that we do, but they definitely play as a team, and they're figuring stuff out in these big games. So they would be much more battle tested than us. So to play something like that, or Alabama, who's going to jack up a bunch of threes and kind of run with us a little bit, that would be interesting. I don't know a lot about UConn, and then again, there's one team I'm missing in there. I forget who else is in the PK85 there with us, but and then to go into Indiana. I know they've been down, but kind of second year under Mike Woodson. Um, they kind of think they got it turned around. I don't know what they're ranked right now either, but to go into that big time environment, um, again, those are the kind of games I'm ready for. Ready to see how I react. Does Caleb Love go off and be a Duke Caleb Love, or is he gonna you know go 2 for 25 or something like that and kind of shoot us out of the game? But oh, Temple, thank you. Stay vigilant. It says Temple's the other team that I was forgetting. They play UConn first round. So Nintendo Nerd says if we end up playing Michigan State, it'll be a tough game. I'd like to see it. Yeah, I mean that will test us. And um, Roy always kind of had Tom Izzo's number. We beat them a ton under Roy, but yeah, that would be a really good game. And Stay Vigilant says it should be us and MSU. I kind of hope so. Even if we were to lose one of those, lose that game or lose the Indiana game, it would. I think it would help us a lot, and maybe it gives the guys focus if that's what they need. If they're struggling to stay focused or to get up for these games, that's those are the kind of games we need. So yeah, just kind of continue to look at this schedule. I don't want to go too far ahead of ourselves. We do open up ACC play right after that Indiana game. Sunday is our ACC opener against Virginia Tech. But as far as podcasting goes, I'll wait until after the PK85 or PKI, whatever this thing is called now. So it'll be after Sunday, maybe next Monday again. Give us a couple of days before that Indiana game. If schedule's too crazy, I'll probably go, Thursday after Indiana, getting ready for ACC play. But yeah, I mean, this is awesome. We got feast week here. Games have been on during the day now. It's been great. The only downfall now is that we got World Cup. I want to watch the World Cup games as well. USA draws today when they should have won against Wales. Um, but trying to balance watching this good basketball, and we've had some good basketball games. Virginia's looking really good out of the ACC. They beat Illinois and they beat Baylor. I think it was Baylor they beat. A couple of good wins for Virginia, though, and obviously kind of what they've gone through with everything that's happened at Virginia. Really impressive for Tony Bennett, and kind of have to be happy for them. But yeah, that sets up the stakes for us as we head into ACC play. So we'll get ready for some of that. Garrett says we'll play our competition and we'll be fine. I think we definitely will. It's kind of hard to remember a little bit of where we were last year and how down we were. At least I was. I'll speak for myself. How down I was on this team, all the way, through January, at least into February, before we turned that switch. And even as we did that, you're kind of skeptical and waiting, like, okay, where did we fall off here? And we rode it all the way to the championship. Now it's kind of like we have those expectations, and I think we are better. The guys have kind of learned to play together and learned how to win and that stuff. Remember some of these games last year, we were, we had a couple of blowouts early in the season. So uh, obviously, yeah, we're getting those wins. That's what's important. But we have to keep growing as well as we do that. So um, like I said, just exciting season, exciting time right here. The feast week. I absolutely love it. College basketball is where it's at for me. And yeah, so we can cheer on UCA, USA. Wow, I almost said UCLA. We're gonna cheer on USA in the World Cup. Try to play close with England, get a draw or some with England, beat Iran, and move on into the out of group play into the quarters for that. And then obviously for the Tar Heels, we're gonna keep racking up these wins. We're gonna go win the PKI, right? um, again, we got that chance. We got that number one. We got that target on our back, and um, it sounds like the guys have all kind of embraced it, and they know the expectations there. They keep talking about the noise that comes with being the top team here and being North Carolina ranked number one. So now we see if we can handle it and grow and get better. So I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling on here, and I don't want to keep you guys any longer. It doesn't sound like we're going to get Blake or Gilda to pop in. So uh, you know, it is what it is. Like Garrett says, let's go win the PK. I think it's PKI, but um, so stay vigilant. Says I believe he's going to play Jalen at Indiana. Hopefully, he's as good as I hear. UVA kind of worries me in the ACC. So yeah, we're gonna have to get into that sometime. Jalen Washington. Obviously, we're gonna have to see him. I have not watched much highlights, especially in a while. It's probably been when he signed and committed to North Carolina that I kind of checked out highlights to see who it was. But um, yeah, he sounds like he's gonna be a big time player if he can come back the way he was, and maybe that's where our depth is. We've really used Armando and Pete down low, and either Puff or Leaky slides over to the four. I think maybe Dontrez, well, in the few minutes he's played a couple of minutes of the four, but he would give us, yeah, and it sounds like another stretch, maybe even a little bit more stretch four than Pete does. Um, so yeah, hopefully he's healthy, he can come back and not be too rusty, but it's going to be a little bit harder for Hubert to play him as well. Again, I'm not at practice. I don't know what it looks like. Maybe he's looking awesome at practice, and it won't be hard for Hubert to throw him in there. But now, as we get into these bigger games, where's Dontrez get minutes? Where's Demarco going to get his minutes? Where's, you Justin McCoy has only been in one game. Not that I'm complaining, but where do these guys find their minutes, and where does Jalen Washington fit in? Does he throw him to the fire um, at Indiana? Do you wait, then for Virginia Tech? I think that was a home game against Virginia Tech to open up the ACC play. Nope, it's in Blacksburg. But then we have after that Georgia Tech at home. Do you wait to kind of get him a couple more minutes there? How does that work? So maybe that's where it is, but uh, you know we'll see. We'll see. Hubert's got the answers so far, so we'll keep trusting in him. Garrett's a little bit surprised that McCoy is not playing. Um, I don't know if it surprises me. I'm kind of more happy about it, but try not to knock on the Tar Heels anymore. But uh, yeah, I I like the rotation we have. I just wish Dontrez would get his shot because I don't think if he's playing you know, not at all sometimes and only playing 3 to 5 minutes the other games. Like, what is keeping him in Chapel Hill? Maybe it's the opportunity that next year is his year. He'll be able to show out with Leaky gone. Um, with what if Caleb's gone, with McCoy gone. That's what worries me about it. But maybe Hubert's in his ear and he's like, "Hey, your next year's your year. Just keep working hard and I'll put you in here and there just to get experience, and next year it's all you." I don't know. Again, I'm not there, but it's interesting to think about and wonder about. But Jalen's, yeah, another kind of X factor that can. Again, does that affect then our? Obviously it affects the rotation if he's getting in. Does it affect our chemistry at all? Getting used to that. Does that set us back a little bit? Um, it'll be interesting to see, but we're all ready for it. We're here for it, and yeah, I think I've gone on long enough here. So I think we're ready for the Phil Knight Invitational this week. Everybody, stay tuned. Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and hopefully we come home with that championship before heading to Bloomington. But I will see you guys at least some point next week, probably Monday or Thursday, Thank you guys for jumping in here. If you're listening to this later, love you, appreciate it. Share it with other Tar Heel fans. Make sure you're subscribed and just keep uniting Tar Heel Nation. That's what we got to do here. We got to stick together. So as Garrett says here, go Heels, and I will say it as well. Um, until next week, go Heels.